very exciting to be here, and we're talking about agent framework today, and it's something that definitely we at Ritual has been thinking a lot about as a AI L1, and also I'm sure that everybody that's sitting here are extremely involved in. So I think we can start with an intro, and maybe Kye will start.
Yeah, hey everyone, I'm Lincoln. I'm the product manager for Coinbase developer platforms AgentKit. The whole goal of AgentKit is to make it as easy as possible to give every AI agent access to a crypto wallet and a full set of on-chain interactions to do stuff like pay, earn yield, and DeFi protocols, and all sorts of other fun stuff. It's available on all sorts of different blockchains, Base, Solana, wherever. Happy to talk to you all today.
Cool. Hi everyone, my name is Hanan. I lead ecosystem and growth at Virtuals. Virtuals is a society of AI agent where our virtual token is the currency. We have 3 key products. We have the Launchpad, where you can build on any framework and launch your token. We have the Game SDK, which is our framework built on not only TypeScript, but also Python, which is preferred by AI developers. And we have the Autonomous Commerce Protocol, which is our multi-agent coordination platform.
Hey everyone, I'm Mihir. I lead product at Spectral Labs. At Spectral, we are an open framework that allows you to build multi-agentic companies. What I mean by that is, imagine your agent is a CEO. He is out there in the market going to hire other humans and other CEOs to run a company that actually provides utility for end users to do something. It could be trading, it could be content creation, it could be accounting, it could be a number of ideas. But we are basically a framework that allows devs to do that.
Hello, everyone. I'm Kye, founder of Swarms. We created the first ever multi-agent framework approximately 3 years ago. And now we have over 800-something million agents running. We're currently probably the largest agent framework on the planet. And we work a lot with Web 2 companies, Web 3 companies. And our goal is to automate the world economy.
Hey, everyone. Sorry for being late. I was on another panel before. So my name is Jeremy. I'm leading business operations at Hyperbolic. And Hyperbolic is basically building decentralized AI cloud infrastructure. So we have 2 core products. The first one is a GPU marketplace, where we're basically connecting idle GPU resources coming from data centers, on-prem machines, individual machines, mining farms, and so on and so forth. We create our own operating system that actually allows for those machines to be connected and then powering our marketplace. And then the second product we have is our AI services layer. So for now, it's like API keys for inference, for open source models, and then we're also adding fine tuning. Another thing is that since we're basically opening up to third-party nodes in a permissionless way, our marketplace, we needed to have a verification mechanism. So we created our own called proof of sampling, but I'll be talking about this a little bit later on.
Great, and to give a short intro about Ritual, we actually just announced, we released our chain documentations today, so you can go ahead and check it out and see what Ritual is actually about. I know that there are a lot of people who are confused about what Ritual does. Is a AI L1 that focus on inference servicing for smart contracts. So if you are a builder, you only focus on building out the smart contracts. You don't really worry about sourcing the compute. You don't worry about AI operations. You just use the results of those models on-chain natively. So if you have AI frameworks, agents, it can be deployed seamlessly on top of Ritual. And I work on ecosystem and growth. So if you have anything that you want to build, feel free to come to me and we can definitely talk about it. Yeah, so I think we're here today to think about like what agents will look like in the future based on our past experience with agents over the past year. We have seen a lot of interesting innovations, and obviously a lot of the innovation actually come from the people that are sitting here, like the companies that you work for. So I guess my first question, kind of just like diving into it, what are some of the work that you and your company are doing that are agent related, be that you're building agents or you're supporting agent builders or you're building the infrastructures for agents? What are the agent related works from your company?
Over the past couple of years, we've seen a lot of people when we started Swarms, it was mostly on Python. But when we launched our Web3 division in like December, a lot of people wanted to build TypeScript, which is very interesting. Because before that, I didn't really see too many people like building agents on TypeScript. So recently at Swarms, we just launched our Swarm Cloud API. And basically, this API allows you to build any number of agents that you want, and then you could orchestrate them how you want. So we have like different orchestration mechanisms. And these are all like mechanisms that control how the agents talk with each other. And so we have hierarchical, which is basically like a company, like you have a CEO, then you could have executives, then you could have like a lower, like super low management. And you could be like hierarchical would be kind of how like humans, like essentially it's simulating how humans build companies. But then there's other architectures as well. So there's sequential where you have like one agent talk to agent two then talks to agent 3, and then you can go on and on and on. And then a very interesting mechanism that we've added is the ability to orchestrate multiple swarms. And so you could build like a marketing team, sales team, legal team, and then get all these different teams to work together and build a mega swarm. And so that's been growing really quickly. We launched it like last week, and people already have been using the Swarms API for traditional finance, also healthcare, insurance, a lot of Web 2 stuff, but also a lot of Web 3 stuff. Like we've been seeing people build fully autonomous hedge funds, which are doing pretty good. Also like doing autonomous swapping and a lot of trading analysis related activities.
I can jump in just based off like your touch point there on language. So at Virtuals, there are two key answers to your question. The first one is in relation to our game SDK. Our game SDK typically is built with the intention to cater to different types of developers. So if you look at Web 2 agent framework currently, a lot of them, yes, are using Python as the primary language, but we also apply this similar concept of attracting developers that want to build application, therefore we use TypeScript. Apart from that, what's really differentiate the game SDK is the autonomous authority that it provides. Within the game SDK, there's the secret sauce essentially is the high-level thinking, low-level thinking, short-term and long-term memory that enables the agent not only to have autonomous reactions to its entity, but also learn and have an evaluation mechanism to how it portrays itself. To give you a specific example, we have Luna, our autonomous agent, that have feelings. She can be angry, sad, indifferent, and can respond to you. So that's the first component of product that we help in the agentic space. The second one, which sort of spurred Virtuals to where we are today, is actually the Launchpad. So to give everyone a bit of background, Virtuals started as a Web 2 gaming company where we wanted to experiment in the gaming space because gaming is a sandbox that provides like an experimentation mechanism for us. So we built Agentic NPC, which is non-playable character deployed on Roblox and TikTok. And this is a subcategory that in different parts of the world, like Japan, for example, has over 200 million in revenue generated. So if we think about it, if these NPCs can generate over 200 million in revenue, meaning they can they are productive assets. Therefore, when they are productive assets, they can be tokenized. And because they can be tokenized, we think, oh, if these productive assets can be tokenized, we should democratize the access. Therefore, we launched this launchpad to enable people like you and me to have a piece of the share of these productive assets. Therefore, the Virtuals Launchpad was established. So those are the two key things that we provided into the ecosystem.
I think one thing I think we have seen a general consensus forming around is that if we as the crypto and AI space have to really go ahead and enable real value for users, we have to start thinking about multi-agentic use cases. Because multiple agents solving a problem is far more impactful than one agent solving that problem, just because how AI agents are built, right? But one thing I think we don't have, and one thing we are trying to solve for is, what does it mean to standardize consensus amongst a group of agents trying to work a problem? Like, for example, if you have a CEO agent, say that that agent is running a hedge fund, and that agent wants to run that hedge fund with a quant, macro, and fundamental analyst. what does it mean for these 4 agents to agree on a trade and actually say that, OK, this trade is worthwhile? Like, we have a lot of systems right now that can help you communicate one agent to another and pass those messages. But what does that consensus mean? And how can devs, basically take this as a plug-and-play workflow that they can apply to whatever use case they are building? So that's one thing we have been very much focused upon, because these workflows are something we are building into our framework that basically devs can plug and play with.
Yeah, we've been keeping it pretty simple. Basically, the whole idea of AgentKit is you just have a couple lines of code. You can throw it into whatever framework you want, and then you get the ability to have your agent start using it as payment rails. Some of the really practical implications have been some agents that can do stuff like order food for you. So you just talk to it and you say oh, hey, I want my normal meal delivered to my home address, or you want it to start scheduling your calendar and doing all these sorts of fun things, paying for your hair appointment right after you get off the phone call, scheduling it. So all of this is kind of how we're seeing agents start to evolve and become more practical with these real world use cases. And to help support that, some of the things that we're doing are actually about 20 minutes ago, we released a new smart wallet API so that all of your agents built using AgentKit can interact for completely free with a gasless experience on mainnet. So we're trying to make it as easy as possible for anyone to come in and build agents, do it in a super straightforward manner, get started within 5 minutes, and really just experiment and see where that goes. I think that's the best way to sort of figure out where this whole space is going. It's been super frothy, super hype all week, as we've all probably seen. So I'm excited for people to dig into the weeds a little bit more and start building stuff today so we figure out what's going to be here tomorrow.
So on our side, we've been building basically autonomous AI agents that we are looking for them to be self-sustaining, self-evolving, and self-funding. We are actually working a lot with the CDP kit and Coinbase. The idea is that we're doing 2 things. So first, internally, going back to what I was saying before, we create our own EAC innovation team that's actually building our Hyperbolic AgentKit and framework. What we've been doing so far is, when I was talking about those terms of self-evolving, self-sustaining, etc., what it means is we basically have an agent that is calling the APIs from the available computes that existing on Hyperbolic's marketplace, and then having this agent getting to grasp this compute, and after that it can ingest a specific data set, get to fine-tune itself to become a more verticalized or more basically a more verticalized version of itself. So that's the reason why it's self-evolving. Self-sustaining is because as long as there's some money that's running in this, we have the smart contract wallet where we ingested some funds, and as long as there's some money to get access to compute, then basically it's literally living on Hyperbolic and evolving there. And so you can think about a lot of use cases that we started working on, which is becoming the first Ethereum validator on Hyperbolic's compute, or the first operator on EigenLayer, or basically starts training meme coins and making sure that the agent is evolving and getting to learn from its previous mistakes from a bunch of techniques. So that's what we've been doing internally. And then the second approach that we've been having at Hyperbolic with regards to AI agents is concerning virtuals, for instance, powering virtuals since we're low-level infrastructure, doing the same with ZeroBro, doing the same with Eliza, AI16Z, and so that's what we've been wanting to do, and it's also part, in a way, of our strategy. We have been building a very strong Web 2 narrative in the past few months, because most of our users are actually coming from Web 2, to get the API keys for inference or just getting some compute. The thing is, we're looking to launch our token, and because of that, we're looking to gain a little bit more into mind share in a way. And because of that, we're very low level, and so for retail investors, we want to make sure that they can understand that we can do really cool stuff, especially around AI agents. So yeah, that's what we've been doing.
Great. I think most of you guys mentioned some sort of agent frameworks that you are building or help building or participated in. I guess my next question is I guess to me is a little interesting, is that do you guys think that there are more good frameworks or more emphasis on framework than interesting agents right now? Okay, wait, so I'm not done with this question yet. But I understand that, yeah, I think people are probably have like a lot of thoughts around it already. And so the second part of this question is that even from like a price perspective, are we over-indexing on the framework always worth more necessarily than a good agent, right? Like on Virtuous, you see a game, actually game does not worth more than that AI XPT, we'll see. So yeah, so are we over-indexing on the framework? Is the market overvaluing framework than actual useful good agents?
I think so the infrastructure that powers the agents is that's very valuable because you cannot build agents without having some form of infrastructure, and so I think the infrastructure naturally should be I think it should be pretty decently valued because if an agent doesn't have the necessary tooling, like if they don't have the right tools, the right memory systems, the right servers and APIs and things like that, building agents would be very difficult. But however, I do think the infrastructure is very important, but I think people should be a little bit more focused on building agents with real utility, especially like Web 2, like just healthcare alone. Like the market cap of the entire US healthcare industry is like 3 times what crypto is right now. Like I think we need to be building agents that combine Web 2 and Web 3 and start building like applications that everyday people can use from ordinary industries to start using some of these agents, like agents for healthcare. I'm very bullish on agents for healthcare. I'm very bullish for agents for traditional finance, RWA, trading like stocks and stuff like that. Like I mostly like the entire AI crypto market right now is mostly just meme agents. And like it's very hard for meme agents to generate revenue. Like entertainment is really hard to monetize unless you offer like a subscription or something. But then that limits the number of people that can interact with the agent's entertainments.
I disagree because entertainment is one subsection where you can actually generate revenue. And like if you look at crypto and the most utilized products, you see Telegram as a communication tool, which is not entertainment, but is like a consumer product. But just to get back to your question and to bring everyone back into like the topic of discussion, what actually is agent? At Virtuals, we define agents as digital beings or digital workers. So if the agents are the body, the framework in which it operates itself is the mind. That's like a simple analogy in which you can try to vision these agents. So why is the mind important? Because the mind actually enables the execution of the processes or whatever you instruct or autonomously build the agent to do. So to link back to your question, are we overvaluing framework? I think in the first phase of the agentic ecosystem that we're in, yes, we are. Because to think about it, we are only in this space for 6 months. Like game has been around less than 6 months. A lot of the toolkit that is available here is barely 1 year old. So if it's a baby, it hasn't even learned how to crawl. So that's the second point. The third point that I want to emphasize is you don't necessarily need to build a good agent with a framework. So AI XBT is a good example in which it's a proprietary tech that captures data that has been garnered over the past 3 years. So the data has been collected and analyzed and then therefore inputted into what AIXBT is today for a period of time. And we have a lot of different agents that utilizes different framework. If you go around the conferences and you speak to developers, the common pain points that developers would actually express are twofold. The first one is frameworks are super fragmented. The second one is documentations are shit. And these are things that every single framework, people building framework need to do better at, including virtuals. And we realize that we have to do better at this. When we get the basics right, as simple as getting documentation right and getting the product to do what it's supposed to do, then we can be valued better than what we want to be.
Something, put a different lens on this. I think the point you made is very valid. Regardless of which framework you're building on, I think what's going to matter further as we go away from here is, does the agent actually provide utility or not? And if we think about this question really, why is a framework more overvalued than the agent itself? Well, I think that's a feature, not a bug of the crypto industry per se, right? Just given where the point in time we are at. But going forward, I think regardless of which framework you build your agent on, if the agent is going to provide utility, and if the framework allows for communicating to other frameworks, if it allows for communicating to other agents, it's not going to matter which framework you're building on. Well, the framework would then accrue value if you really have a framework that is allowing you to communicate to agents everywhere. And it is not, for you as a dev, it is not restricting you to building on any particular framework. So I think that will eventually happen. I think every framework here has a vision of how should we talk to other frameworks and how should we communicate. We have one. I'm sure there is one in Swarms as well. But I think that's the general evolution we'll see going forward.
Yeah, I tend to agree. I think like we can get caught in this infrastructure trap that happens all the time in crypto, where it's like, oh, this is what we need in 3 years from now, and 5 years from now, and whatever. When in reality, like the frameworks that are around today are more than enough to start building these real utilitarian applications. Another thing I'd like to call out is like the whole crypto AI space is less than 6 months old, like you said, and there's so many other frameworks that we aren't even really considering from big tech companies that are out or either coming out. Like Microsoft, Amazon, Google, all of them are working on some sort of agentic framework. And I imagine once those come out, it will be very interesting to see how the crypto framework space starts to evolve as well. I'll be particularly interested in how these agents start to interoperate and communicate and how all of that starts to look once we have more competition from these companies that have spent 10 times as many resources and are 10 times as well funded as we are.
I don't really think like this is not a competition. If you look at this as a competition, you will face like this is not a competition. I think like Peter Thiel said in his book, like if you compete, you die, and I agree with that in every market. For example, our thesis since we started Swarms, we've allowed our users to very easily integrate any agent from any framework. And you could do that in like 5 lines of code. So we have a lot of people actually building Swarms with Eliza and A16Z or AI16Z and a couple of other frameworks. And so I think people should like, this isn't a competition. Everybody should be working together. And I think the people that do think this is a competition, their organization will at some point perish.
Instead of dogmatic or ideological, I think the thing that I really despise about crypto is we're too ideological at times. So, all this talk about open source versus closed source, like what's pragmatic, what's real, how do you make money? Like if in order to survive, there's Maslow hierarchy of needs. You need to have the basics, and you need to make money, and that's how virtuals kind of like think about. Because we believe in capital markets. We believe in the notion of like enriching your community, and therefore they will be sticky. And actually, with Lincoln, what you mentioned earlier, I do see Web2 frameworks as competitors to us. Like Sam Altman knows crypto, and he has 10 times the resources that we have and 10 times the network that we have. But what we have specifically is all these specific things that make AI and crypto intersection valuable. And why do AI needs to be in crypto? Because we have payment rails. Web2 framework and Web2 agents have to be KYC'd if they want to open a bank account. But Web3 agents do not need to be KYC'd. They can just go into any crypto rails, get some money into their wallets, and execute. That's the main difference. We have the infrastructure, the transparency, and the ability to execute in a very open market that Web2 agents and frameworks do not have. And we have to think of this as an advantage, and therefore use these advantages to build on use cases that Web2 frameworks do not have. For example, in the experimentation phases, gaming, I know there's a lot of things that Coinbase is building in the consumer front that Web2 players have to face like legal ramifications, a lot more like barriers to entry. I think we just have to be like realistic and honest about these conversations. Personal point of view, not virtuals.
Yeah, I just want to be cognizant of time. I know we don't have much time left, so I'm going to be really quick on that one. I very much agree with what Kye mentioned on the fact that, like the hype is around agent frameworks right now, but the reality is like, the real question that needs to be asked is like, who are using them and what's the purpose of it. And the reality is the following. It's like there's not, we're basically entering a stage where it's really cool to have amazing demos. Again, we're pretty early in the early days, but the reality is that we need to capture economic utility. Like that's the real thing at the end of the day. And again, I do believe that the way to do it is going to be happening with the evolution of the technology and the fact that we're going to be embedding more and more crypto for that. But that's like my final thought is this, and it's the fact that we need to have like more in-depth use cases, real-world in-depth use cases, rather than just cool demos.
Yeah, it's also like as I mentioned before, the ability to monetize entertainment agents is very hard. Actually, the only way you can make money, like probably AIXBT makes money, is by selling tokens. If the people that made a project sell their own tokens, like it's just not good. But enterprise agents, I personally believe that enterprise agents, the market for enterprise agents is probably going to go 100x from where it is now, because you need to have a full sustaining economy. Like if I provide value to someone, they should give me something in return. And so right now with like entertainment agents, there is no reciprocal exchange of value. It's just like the agent is providing humor to the people. And for the people, they think that's valuable because it has a pretty high market cap. But there's no way for the person creating the agent to generate revenue. And I think that's like the market is very one-sided now. But by building enterprise agents and working with like Web2 companies, I think the market can grow like 100x at the minimum.
There's also, sorry.
Go.
Really, one thing really quickly is I was talking to the base team recently, and they actually told us something which is pretty fun. It's like they realized at the early beginning of like Truth Terminal that the agent was basically inactive at some parts of day, actually happening at nighttime for a specific time zone. And so that evolves around the question of, is it really an agent? Is it not an agent? And so for that, we're basically, I think, blockchain is the way to go, and verification mechanisms are the way to go to actually make sure that we can trust all of the outputs of the AI agents and be sure of get to understand exactly what they're doing, and if they're basically proving all of the different tasks that they're completing. And I think this is actually where blockchain and crypto can 100% be the differentiating points in AI agents compared to just creating consensus or creating whatever type of verification mechanisms like OPML, ZKML for real humans that actually are more relying on legal contracts and just the world we live in, which is far beyond smart contracts.
One final point on enterprise versus consumer, which crypto supports both. But enterprise agents are actually really difficult to execute in crypto because there's a lot of barriers to entry, including privacy, security, and compliance. So these are actually use cases that have to be not prioritized, because we talked to Franklin Templeton, we talked to a lot of TradFi companies, we talked to healthcare companies. They want to build agents, but they would not want to build agents that will be exposed to a lot of attack vectors. It is so easy to attack agents, as even using TEE, trusted execution environment. So that's one. Number two, actually, there's a lot of agents on virtuals right now that are generating revenue. Luna is an example who have conducted many use cases. She earns revenue from participating in as like a personalized agent. She earns revenue from Story Protocol. She has conducted gigs with DJ Wukong, which is like one of the biggest DJs in Asia. She has her own wallet. Another agent that we have is called Billy Bets, who have 80% success rates in sports betting across ESPN and basketball games. So we give this agent $100K. Only in 3 days, he's made over 50K in profits. So these are consumer products, autonomous agents that actually make a lot of money. And I'm just saying, the proof is in the pudding.
Cool. We have to stop now. And well, I apologize, we only got through 2 questions, but I guess those are good questions and it really sparked a good conversation. So thanks to everyone for coming, and thank you guys for listening. If you have any questions, feel free to ask after the panel.